Welcome aboard, mateys. I be Captain Stormbeard, the most fearless pirate on the seven seas. Some call me a terror, others but no matter what they whisper, I love to explore the vast oceans and discover far-off lands. There's always some new island to plunder or some rich galleon to capture. That's why when my trusty crew and I saw a strange green glow coming from beneath the waves near an uncharted island, we couldn't resist the urge to investigate. What we found changed my life forever. It was an enormous clam, larger than any I'd ever seen before, and as we pried it open, our eyes widened in amazement. Inside, nestled among the rough edges, was a small wooden box, adorned with strange symbols. Curiosity got the better of me and I opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was a tarnished silver amulet shaped like an hourglass. As I slipped it around my neck, a jolt shot through me and everything went black. When I came to, the sounds of the sea were gone, replaced by the chirping of crickets. The air smelled sweet and unfamiliar. Had we reached some enchanted isle? Confused, I stumbled upon a nearby ship. To my astonishment, it was exactly like mine, except for the strange markings on its sails. Peeking inside, I saw men dressed in clothes I'd never seen before. They spoke in a language I didn't understand. I quickly ducked away, realizing I had stumbled into a world vastly different from my own. I soon discovered I'd traveled back in time. But how did I know? Because everywhere I looked, there were things that were just not right. Like where I'd expected to see men with beards and waistcoats, I saw people in robes and tunics. And instead of horse-drawn carriages, there were horse-drawn chariots. It was as if I'd stepped into a history book. At first, I thought I'd only moved a few years back, but as I heard the locals speaking in ancient Egyptian tongue and saw the Great Pyramids looming in the distance, I realized I'd traveled much further. In fact, I'd landed in ancient Egypt. But how could this be? Who knew such a thing was possible? Then I remembered the amulet, the mysterious object I'd found in the clam. I slipped it around my neck again, and sure enough, another jolt shot through me, and I was transported back to my own time. But now I knew the truth. The amulet was no ordinary treasure. It was a powerful artifact that could twist time itself, allowing me to jump through the ages. And so began my incredible adventures through time. I jumped from one era to the next, each more fascinating than the last. Once I found myself in the heart of the Roman Empire. The streets were bustling with activity. The Colosseum stood proudly in the distance, and the air was filled with the scent of freshly baked bread. But I soon realized that being a pirate in ancient Rome was not all it was cracked up to be. I mean, who knew gladiators were so fierce or chariot racing so intense? I had to use all my wits and charm to navigate the city without ending up as a gladiator myself. After many close calls, I managed to blend in with the crowds, observing the grandeur of Rome without being swept up in its chaos. I learned that sometimes the greatest adventures are those we only observe from afar. Eventually, I made my way to a quiet spot outside the city walls and activated the amulet. In a blink, I was whisked away to another corner of history. This time I found myself in the heart of Renaissance Italy. The streets were filled with the sounds of music, laughter, and the clanging of hammers as artisans worked their magic. The great works of art that adorned the buildings were a sight to behold, and the passion of the people for their craft was truly inspiring. Of course, being a swashbuckling pirate in a world of artists and scholars was a bit of a challenge. I had to don a new disguise and learn the local customs to avoid standing out. But it wasn't long before I was swept up in the excitement of the Renaissance. I watched in awe as Leonardo da Vinci unveiled his latest masterpiece and listened intently to the theories of Nicolaus Copernicus. Before long I felt like I was part of this vibrant community of thinkers and creators, but as much as I enjoyed the wonders of the Renaissance, I knew I couldn't stay there forever. So with a heavy heart, I activated the amulet once again and disappeared into the swirling mists of time. Next, I found myself in the middle of the age of exploration. The salty air filled my lungs and the cries of seagulls echoed around me as I stepped onto the deck of a magnificent sailing ship. The crew bustled about, preparing the vessel for a journey across the uncharted seas. And as I watched them, a sense of adventure and excitement coursed through me. It was as if I'd been born for the sea. I helped the crew hoist the sails and adjust the rigging, eager to feel the wind in my hair and the spray of the ocean on my face. And when the captain gave the order to set sail, I cheered along with the rest of the crew. As the ship sliced through the waves, I stood at the bowsprit, gazing out at the endless horizon. The sea was my domain, and I knew that with every passing moment, I was becoming one with it. Then just as suddenly as it began, the vision vanished and I found myself back in my own time. It was almost as if it had all been a dream, yet the memories of the people I'd met, the places I'd seen, and the experiences I'd lived still burned brightly in my mind. Each journey through time had taught me something new, not just about history, but about myself as well. I'd learned that no matter where I went or when, the human spirit was always the same, capable of great love, great loss, great joy, and great sorrow. I'd also learned that even in the darkest of times, hope could endure. As I gazed out at the sea, I knew that my adventures were far from over. The amulet had shown me that time was a vast and endless ocean, filled with wonders beyond my wildest dreams. But now it was time to go home. I missed my crew, my ship, and the familiar sights and sounds of my own time. With a heavy heart, I activated the amulet one last time, bracing myself for the journey back. As the swirling mists cleared, I found myself on the deck of the Sea Serpent once more. The familiar faces of my crew turned to me in surprise and relief. We had found the uncharted island and the mysterious clam, but the real treasure I'd discovered was the knowledge that time, like the sea, was full of wonders, mysteries, and adventures. Now, don't get me wrong, I love me some good old-fashioned plundering and pillaging, but after my adventures through time, raiding a simple merchant ship just doesn't seem all that exciting. Oh, and watch ahead, matey. It's low tide and I've hung the cannons on the beach too dry. I'm thinking of changing our course to the port of antiquities. I hear they got a whole warehouse of dusty relics from all corners of history, perfect for a fellow adventurer like myself. Now come on, let's get out of here before high tide. Cannons are heavy, they're no